Studying English at A level is really useful, and it's very different from studying English at GCSE. First, I would advise you that if you're not a reader, this might not be the subject for you, because you will have to do essential reading. So you will have to read the text that you're studying. You can't just go online and just search up a summary. It doesn't really work that way. And you need to do background reading for the lessons, which will better prepare you for the exams. It's really different from studying at GCSE, so you don't really waste your time on analysing persuasive writing in an advert or something, but you really focus on narrative and sort of the language that authors use. You engage a lot more with the text as well, because you're studying one text per sort of English kind of module, I guess. So you've got a novel, you've got poetry, and you've got a play. So you only study one or two for each. So you really get to hone in on the language and really get to familiarize yourselves with these texts and get to know them. You study in so much more depth than at GCSE, so you're seeing the different ways in which literature interconnect across genres and mediums. So a lot of the time you look at interpretations of different texts, and then you can sort of see the way that different genres and things can overlap, and even overlapping into our pop culture as well. You don't really waste your time analysing persuasive writing in an advert anymore. It's more just focusing in, and it's really a lot more in detail. You get into the minds of playwrights, authors, and poets through looking at text from so many different lenses, and each time you spot something new. At AS level, you study A Streetcar Named Desire, which is essentially where a woman named Blanche is forced to move from her luxurious home to live in a cramped apartment with her sister and brother-in-law. Jane Eyre, which is one of the most influential works of fiction ever. Jane Eyre is an orphan who becomes a governess at Thornfield Hall. She falls in love with Mr. Rochester, but not everything about him is quite as it seems. And then you study poetry by Philip Larkin and they write in ways that seem very different, but once you start studying the poems you can really see the connections. Personally, I didn't really like Jane Eyre when I first read it. I kind of hated it. I didn't think that I would be able to stand studying it for a year because I found it really boring, but then once I started really learning about it, and once you start analysing it in class, you really get to know the characters and Charlotte Bronte, the author of the book, so much more, and I started to fall in love with it and really appreciate Bronte as an author and Jane as a character. I'm still not convinced on Rochester, though. I really don't like him. Studying English can really help you understand some parts of the world around you and some of the age-old stories that are told and retold in TV, films, songs even. And you get to see how things change over time, because it's not just studying English, it's studying psychology and the way that sometimes you read a text. It's studying the ways that people interact and social connections. And it's, of course, studying language and how that emotes us and how it moves us, as well as some history, because you're studying the context of when these texts were written. So I would really, if you want to study English, I think it's the way to go if you want to get to study a subject where you study so many different aspects of life.